You're listening to 101.1 FM WOPP-IP, WDRV-IP, WALE-IP Providence. I'm your co-host, Dhruv.
And I'm your co-host, Alejandro Jackson.
And this is the Outta Pocket Podcast,
where we pull conversation topics out of our pocket.
And occasionally, go out of pocket.
Welcome back to the Outta Pocket Podcast, and welcome to season 2.5.
Hell yeah.
We're happy to have you here. On today's show, we're starting a new segment called Artist Affray. In this segment, we're trying to each sell two artists to each other and you, the listeners. But before that, some housekeeping. You heard that right in the intro. You are listening to 101.1 FM, WOPP-IP, WDRV-IP, WALE-IP Providence. We made some changes to, I guess, right? We made some changes to the show, technically.
So we made some changes as to the sort of
hierarchical construction.
Yeah, so
under which our show runs.
Yeah, the show is just going to remain the exact same as we've always run it. But now we're no longer under the sort of purview or jurisdiction of Brown Student Radio.
Essentially we just decided that the directions in which we want to travel creatively are best undertaken
just like as a solo
independently. Yeah. And so we amicably parted ways, and if you check our about page, this update or like this new path reflects that, and our Instagram too. Is.
And fun fact, we liked sort of the radio call sign in the beginning, but now that we're no longer playing on the radio, we sort of had some creative liberties as to what we could we could do. So WOPP
for the Outta Pocket Podcast.
Yep.
So we're explaining this. Essentially, we wanted to keep the 101.1 FM. It just I think it's iconic. It's synonymous with the show, and also like since we're not actually on the radio, like since it's not an actual call sign, it's similar. We have talked about this, but Dawn FM, 103.5 is an actual radio station in Miami. I forgot about that. I used to listen to it as a kid all the time. Anyways, but yeah, so we kept the 101.1 FM. And my extensive research of radio call signs. The W is actually, which don't ask me why. The W is actually for Eastern. Mm-hmm. So east of
Western.
Yeah.
East of the Mississippi.
There's some line, some arbitrary line. K is actually for West. Mm-hmm. Don't ask me.
Shout out WABE NPR. Yeah. That's where ATL meets NPR.
Yeah, so the W is for the eastern part of the United States. OPP obviously for Outta Pocket Podcast. The IP stands for Internet Podcast. The LP before actually stood for Low Power FM Radio. Mm-hmm. So IP is just for Internet Podcast because we're exclusively on the internet
pretty
now.
Pretty much, yep.
And obviously the following two call signs are just variations or like sort of shortenings of our name.
DRV and ALE.
Yeah. And we're still in Providence, so
yeah. There you go.
Yeah, welcome to our new sort of identifier, and our new era of the Outta Pocket Podcast. Another update. Well, I guess minor update. Our Instagram handle is now the Outta Pocket Podcast. I think I renamed it to .jpeg.
LOL.
Which is because obviously it is the sort of image version of our show. That's where we post exclusively images. Yes, it's the Outta Pocket Podcast .jpeg. And so you can all of our content is still there, like all of our obviously our episode posts and whatnot. Updates to the show. You can follow us there, and keep up to date with us. Yeah.
But this is just, I think, just part of a trend that we're always trying to, grow and like continue like evolving the show as we grow up too.
Yes. So and good thing that you brought that up. So we are actually now on YouTube. At the Outta Pocket Podcast. Give me a second. I will check right now. Bear with me as I check. But essentially, I think we'd both argue that that's one of the things that we would not have been able to do under BSR. Is like extend to YouTube for some reasons, but it's just at the Outta Pocket Podcast. So I'm pretty sure, if the link will be on our website. It's also currently on our Instagram, in an Instagram story for a limited amount of time. But you can find us at youtube.com/at the Outta Pocket Podcast. That's OUTTA and Pocket Podcast. So, yeah. In the future, we want to continue to grow on YouTube. We're still going to be uploading on Spotify. We're still going to be uploading on Apple Podcasts and our website. Bring you new episode ideas, having more sort of creative liberty with where we want to take things. Sponsorships, maybe? Who knows?
Please sponsor us, please.
And
hey, yo, bro, check out the sponsorship Riz.
Yeah,
please.
and I guess we're the biggest thing we would like to incorporate at some point in the future, when we are able to figure out it, is a video to the show. Yeah. So easier said than done.
Things coming.
Yes, we are both extremely busy university students.
This semester more so than ever, it seems. But
I'm trying to be better than last semester. But for you, I know you're in the trenches. But essentially, we feel like the video will be refreshing, but it takes time to sort of figure out what the setup will be, where we'll find the time to edit. I know as of right now, there are only 7 episodes on YouTube. The demo show and then the first 6 official episodes.
Just because they take time to upload and render.
So they take time to process the videos, upload and render. And the thing is, I have to keep my laptop running. Yeah. And the thing is, I have a laptop and I have to carry it places, and so I keep having to close it or take it somewhere. And so, it'll take time and try to get those out on YouTube as soon as possible. But we hope to one day, when we figure out the best situation for us to incorporate video and have a bit of more interactive experience for you guys on the other end. So that's where we're at. Anything you want to say? Anything you want to add?
No, I'm just excited to. I'm just excited that we've made it to season 2.5.
I know.
It's like.
And I was talking to a friend of ours today, and they had asked me when did you start making episodes? Was it last fall or last spring? And I was like, it was actually fall 2021.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. November 29th, 2021, our inception.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
We'll see where we go.
With that out of the way, we can move on to sort of the official topic for today, the Artist Affray.
Yeah, so I'm throwing you in the ring. You're up first.
All right. I was actually envisioning we could go in more of a back and forth type fashion, but the 2 artists I want to sort of plug today are Twerp and A.R. Rahman, 2 artists who I, immensely, sort of respect and enjoy listening to their music. And you?
Yeah, so I chose Innerwave and Juan Luis Guerra, which I think in both of our experiences, our sort of latter choices are cultural staples.
Influence,
Yeah, and so although, because originally when we had been talking about the idea for this episode, we talked about sort of more low-key artists. But we both want to say that within these sort of cultural staples, we want to kind of sell them to sort of wider, friends of ours who listen to the show who don't really know who they are. I'm not gonna lie, I've just been listening to, in Juan Luis's case, I've been listening to his music a lot lately.
Yeah,
it's heat. I don't know what to say. I kind of just want to talk about it.
Yeah,
it kind of just gives me an excuse. True. And And so, you know, and it's also just a bit of culture and something I think I could. Well, I don't know how long I would be able to talk about it. I might have to riff a little.
Yeah.
Music
true.
pun unintended.
You got the whole squad laughing, bro.
I know. Right. All 72 audience members. Potential introduction to the Outta Pocket Podcast live studio recordings. We have like a live audience, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air type beat, a laugh track and everything.
We just get tomatoes thrown at us.
We're gonna have the whole club laughing. What you mean?
All right. Anyway, that aside, let's get right into it. So the first artist I mentioned, Torp, have like really shot to, you know, the top of like my sort of artists of all time, not just in terms of how much I listen to them, but also in terms of like what I would regard as like, you know, their quality as musicians and artists. But as sort of like the Wikipedia, like, you know, like context section, Twerp is, I want to say, they're a Canadian band that was founded, I want to say, in like the early 2010s, maybe a little earlier, but they had like, I don't know, they sort of like moved around a bit, you know, some members joined, others left, but in its sort of current iteration, I think like the four members of Twerp as they stand right now are, keep in mind, I'm a huge nerd, so sort of like this band is like very much, you know, like one of the nerdiest possible things you could listen to, and in the best way possible. But the four members of Twerp as it stands right now are Dr. Sung. He is on the vocals. He plays, or like vocals loosely, but also like it's mainly like talk box vocal. And for people who don't know what the talk box is, it's like this kind of instrument thing that was really pioneered in like the 70s when it came out by like, you know, Herbie Hancock,
yep.
the GOAT.
If you'd like a wonderful example, listen to Let's Groove.
Let's Groove by Earth, Wind, and Fire. Really iconic talk box. Bo, 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 bo. And then there's, for more modern example, the intro to 24 Karat Magic is also...
I feel like I vaguely remember.
Yeah. Also...
Everybody knows I'm joking.
Everyone knows he's a Bruno Mars hater. But it's okay. It's okay.
Bruh. I'm catching flack with all the communities.
No.
Taylor Swift fans hate me. Bruno Mars fans hate me.
But, very iconic talk boxes and both. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. But yeah, Dr. Sung is, I don't know what his deal is. I think he might be part robot or something. In the lore. Twerp has a lore, by the way.
Oh.
It's great. And then, on guitar, you have, Lord Phobos, who's like...
Isn't that a moon of Mars?
Yeah. And one of the sons of Mars, but
what?
In mythology.
Oh,
Phobos and Deimos.
But like Mars has a sun. I thought it was the sun.
Two. And or he has more. But that's a mythology thing.
Deimos.
Yeah.
It's Kratos' brother.
Fear and Panic, Phobos and Deimos.
Deimos is Kratos' brother, bro.
Bro's been playing too much God of War.
Zeus! Your son has returned.
Do not deny me. But anyway. Man, we keep getting off topic. Lord Phobos on guitar. Probably one of the most cracked guitarists, like, I've seen play live. And up next, we have Commander Meowch on the bass. Probably, like, my favorite... member of the band, just because like his bass playing ability is just insane. He just keeps like the bass line like lively. He throws in some really like just like tasteful and like skillful riffs.
Walking bass line.
So true. He's like I don't know, like the thing is like to a lot of people who just sort of listen to rock or other like, you know, music casually, like if you think of like famous bass player, probably like the biggest one that comes to mind is like Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And Flea is goated, like he's good, but like once you sort of start falling down the bass rabbit hole, there are a lot of really good like you know, some probably just more technically talented than Flea. And Flea is already like really technically talented, so like, you know,
man's attracting enemies.
Row. I like disclaimer, like RHCP, like probably one of my favorite bands. Like no diss at all.
If I'm catching flack with all these communities, you are too. Say it with your chest.
I didn't say that. And finally, the last member of Twerp is Hav Hogan on the drums. A really talented drummer too. Like just like the first thing I sort of want to like sell everyone about this band is every member of the band is like just incredibly like technically proficient at like their instrument, like whatever they play. So like it's for people who sort of, you know, look for or respect that sort of thing in music, like you've come to the right place. I'd say another like, you know, sort of fun part of the I guess I'll divide my pitch on Twerp into sort of two facets, the music and the culture. And I'll start with the music since we're already sort of on it. In terms of like style of music, they say it themselves at their during their shows that they're a band from Canada and the future, or no. They're a band from the 80s and the future, and from Canada and from outer space. And that sort of like ties into the culture thing too, but we'll get there. And I think that sort of really like encapsulates their sound. It's like very like if you took synthwave and like synth pop, mashed it with like 80s rock, and more recently they've been doing more funk than 80s rock. You kind of get like approximately to where Twerp is at, and I'd even say like I'd go as far as to say is they just have like a very unique sound that's like hard to describe unless you sort of listen to it. But yeah, in terms of music, like the sort of like albums you definitely should look out for, Together Through Time that came out in 2018 is probably my favorite Twerp album. Just in terms of like, you know, number of tracks that are just like straight heat on the album, and also it's like cohesiveness as an album in general. I'd say the next best album I can think of is their most recent one, New and Improved, that came out in late 2021. New and Improved is also straight heat. But whereas Together Through Time sits definitely more on the rocky end of the spectrum, New and Improved is on like funk, very much so. Now that I think about it, yeah, I don't know. They have funky tracks. They also have like the start of New and Improved is like this really up tempo, like almost prog rock adjacent. I don't know, just like a great sound. And the third album you might want to check out would be Over the Top. That came out in, I want to say, either 2019 or 2020. No, 2020. And Over the Top also has like heat on it. So with that sort of like the musical aspect of Twerp, and you know, like I guess the reason I'm attracted to it is like it kind of takes all of my favorite genres and just puts them in a band, like kind of in the way that, you know, like if I had to like think of an ideal artist, like, you know, what I'd be listening to, and it's just like bam, like Twerp got, you know, they're kind of right there in my niche. And I also I really like live music that, you know, you could listen to live and watch performers and musicians, you know, sort of like shred like really shred. So yeah, that's and like obviously, you know, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule. Because like, you know, a lot of hip hop, at least hip hop performances, you have some dude with the laptop and he has all your beats on it, and then, you know, you just hand it off to the sound guy. And
we were at I know we're Spring Weekend. Well, there's some performance.
Yeah.
Somebody went off on like, was it the synth?
On the drums. It was the drum. It was the dude on the drums. Like as we so like quick side tangent. Spring Weekend, the sort of music festival that Brown holds every year. As we were walking in, like the last we managed to catch like literally the last song in whatever act was going on, because the line was ridiculously long, and some dude was like popping off on the drums.
Amazing, brother.
Yeah, pop only on occasion, brother. And it was really enjoyable to see, and that got me so excited. I'm like, oh, like even though I don't know any of these artists, like I'm about to be in for like some crazy live music.
Oh, you make it sound like you were severely disappointed.
Huh?
You make it sound like you were severely disappointed.
It was enjoyable because I was spending some time with friends, but if I gotta be real with you, like the next act was Flo Milli, and like she has bars, but like all she did, like all they did was like play the beat on a laptop and she just rapped over it. You know, not like that is a like not like that's a bad way of like, you know, it's still like very much like valid and part of the hip hop culture, but you know, I love like watching musicians play live. There's
crazy.
There's just something different about the energy of a live performance.
No, I get what you mean. It was a nice, yeah, no.
And then Biggie was there, bro. It was crazy. Notorious B.I.G.
Came back from the dead just to Brown University. No. Yeah, there's you can find an arguably iconic photo
of the two of us. Yeah,
people have utilized to proclaim some mysterious closeted romance that I have no idea. I don't know what they're talking about.
True.
It's not existent.
True. Damn, bro.
It was a fun weekend.
I know you love me, though.
Bruh. Yes, love you too. Aw, yeah, shut up. All right.
We're men.
All you people listening, I don't want to hear it.
Right? We don't show emotions.
I know what you're talking about.
We don't show emotions like that.
Yeah, but it was a fun night with a lot of fun to throw back to that incident.
The reach around, and we will leave it at that.
The Tuckus incident.
No context required. Anyway, we're getting off topic again. This is we keep it out of pocket on the Outta Pocket podcast.
Yeah, mozzarella sticks will never hit harder.
Yeah, facts. Post Spring Weekend Joe's.
We left early.
Yeah.
To get Joe's.
Cause there was like one.
Smino.
Yeah, Smino. That I was just like.
Watch it, bro. You might get jumped out here in these.
I was just too hungry, bro. I was just too hungry. I like nothing against Smino. I was just hungry, bro.
I can't believe you left during Smino. What is wrong with you?
I was hungry. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Twerp, in terms of like culture, not just are they like incredibly nerdy, and like very much so, but they build a community around that in just like a really positive way. Like their faces aren't revealed. That's part of the act where they all come on stage in costume and masks. Really intricate costumes, by the way. Like Commander Meowch is like a lion wearing like a uniform. It's really funny.
What kind of uniform?
Like a navy uniform. I don't know. It kind of looks like it, I don't know. He looks stripped out. He looks stripped out. But the mouth on the lion like actually moves when he talks. It's crazy. And
sounds
Dr.
like
Sung,
Five Nights at Freddy's,
bruh,
type beat.
You should look up a picture of the band when you get a chance. Dr. Sung.
I'll do it right now. You guys listening can do it along with me.
So true. Dr. Sung is probably like the only guy you could see like the lower half of the face, but that's just because he needs to use the talk box.
What's this? There's an open source software customer. I don't know. Twerp is somebody's.
Oh yeah, by the way, Twerp stands for Tupperware Remix Party. For the people curious, TWRP.
Sounds like TWTP.
Phobos has a voice distorter built into the mic, so when he talks, it just sounds like robotic. It's fun, and like Hav Hogan has like lights that turn on and off in the helmet. So it just looks really dope. And these guys come up there with just the best energy. And they have like all these sort of like inside, or not even like inside jokes, but just like fun bits that they do it at every live performance, but it still feels just like so fun to participate. Like, for example, when Twerp gets up, they start counting through like the set list. They're like, our first song, our second song, but then they quickly like get off the rails, and like by the time they're playing their third song, they'll be like, this is our 35th song, and like they'll keep going, and by the end of the set list, they're like, I don't know for those of you who've been keeping track, but this is our 69th song, and it's like they always do it, and it's always funny. Maybe it's just because I have a broken sense of humor. Another bit that they do is like at the beginning of every song, Commander Meowch goes, and this one goes out to all the ladies here tonight. And then they play it, and it's great. Above that, they've done a lot of collaborations with another really popular nerd band called Ninja Sex Party. Another, like, classic. I'd say, like, any Ninja Sex Party twerp collab just automatically smacks. Probably, like, this is just matter of personal opinion. Like, the collabs aren't my favorite of theirs, but, like, any collab they do with any artist is just, like, a guaranteed banger. And like, the Ninja Sex Party collabs, like, they go back and forth. So, like, there's some Ninja Sex Party songs where they play on, and then there's twerp songs where NSP plays on. And above all, like, they really do make, like, they really do try to, like, commit to making it an inclusive environment for everyone involved. They, like, at the show, or I guess sort of, like, for additional context, I went to go see them with one of my best friends, or two of my best friends, last October. One of them who is also very into twerp, the other one who does not listen to twerp. But anyway, at the live show, probably like one of the most fun experiences I've ever had. They sort of had like a moment where they were like, hey, like, like in our community, like, we use nerd as like a positive word. We were like reclaiming that shit, like, like we're all nerdy, and like we own it. And it was just like,
get bullied.
It was just a moment that like spoke to me, where I'm like, I've always like, thought of myself as a nerd, and I never thought there was anything wrong with that, but like, it's glad to see it like being affirmed. And in their music, they also have like a lot of songs with just like positive, powerful messages. There's one song off of Over the Top where the message is just like, my mom's the goat and so's my dad. And it's great. They have a song off of Together Through Time, which is probably my favorite twerp song of all time, but it's called Pets, and it's like sort of an ode to like a dog that has passed away, and it's just like, it smacks every time, because like the music is so like happy and uplifting, and the lyrics are just like, no. Beyond that, like, they have a lot of songs about just like being kind and like, being nice to people. And then they also have a lot of songs that are just like fun and like kind of goofy. There's a song off of Together Through Time called Tactile Sensation, which is all about like getting schmoovin' with it, if you know what I mean. And then they also have songs that are like sci-fi, like low-key sci-fi stories. And it's all just like very cool, very fun. Anything else I have to say about twerp? I know they had an astronaut on the latest album, Chris Hadley, who's like, He was a former NASA astronaut, and now he just does like a ton of publicity for NASA. And he's really cool. And they got him on a song, so there you go. And they also like they're hip with the memes, man. Like every time I listen to or like if you follow them on Instagram, it's just hilarious content. And if you listen your way through Together Through Time closely, you'll hear the lick like 4 or 5 times. And there's also like one song in Together Through Time where if you pay attention really close to like some voice in the background, you hear them yelling like "Play Freebird," which is also like another like certified hood classic in the live music community. So I don't know. Overall, like they're my second listened to artist of all time, only behind The Weeknd. We've both like expressed that we just like are obsessed with on the show. But 10 out of 10, do recommend Twerp. Please go listen and like, let us know what you think.
I know.
But yeah, you were laughing it up over there looking at their Wikipedia page.
This is not theirs. Part of my spontaneous laughter. I was looking at Ninja Sex Parties.
Oh yeah, Ninja Sex Party is another like, they're funny as shit.
And I quote, "The work of Ninja Sex Party typically consists of rock or synth pop-oriented humorous songs, frequently on the topics of sex, seduction, love, or fantasy. ... Where the two members of the band respectively portray the characters of Danny Sexbang, an idiotic, exuberant, hypersexual Jewish man constantly trying to unsuccessfully hit on women.
It's really, yeah, and it's part of the bit.
And Ninja Brian, an uncommunicative, homicidal ninja with erectile dysfunction." So,
Ninja Brian's the GOAT, though. There's this one NSP song called, like probably one of their best, I'd say, called 6969, where they time travel to the year 6969 because they anticipate it being like the sort of like, sex paradise, and then they get there and everyone's wearing like turtlenecks and like baggy like like modest clothing. It's just so funny for some reason.
Well, how do we know that said reality in which people wear turtlenecks and baggy pants?
Just like baggy clothing, like, so yeah.
Is not to hide what goes on.
Well, no, that's the thing. That's the thing. They're all controlled by the dick overlords, and then like Danny starts like this like worldwide sex party to liberate the people, and the dick overlords come after them. And then Ninja Brian kills all of them.
Wow.
It's a great plot, man.
This sounds like vaguely familiar to some odd fantasy that some odd individual in this campus keeps bringing up about a sex motel or something.
Oh, man.
On the main green of Brennan
I don't know who
campus.
You're talking about,
and
dude.
like it just sounds like that could potentially be the result of like that's where said situation could end up if said sex motel, which said individual whose idea it was to build said sex motel actually took place.
Whoever you're talking about is clearly a deranged and sad individual, frankly. And they're probably doing this as some sort of way to, laugh through the pain and fill a hole in their heart, because they're pathetic. I refuse to elaborate. Anyways, but like the other quick thing about NSP, it's not always like memes. This is a good tie-in back to Twerp. The collab they had, or Twerp's biggest song of all time right now is Starlight Brigade, and it smacks, and it's off of Together Through Time, and you should listen to it. And the guy who does vocals on that is Danny from Ninja Sex Party. But I would argue in terms of the Ninja Sex Party Twerp collabs, the better song is off of Over the Top, because there's more of a plot to it. The plot to Starlight Brigade is just like this guy goes into space and he like gangs up with like, these guys, and they just like protect space or whatever. But the plot to Black Swan goes crazy. There's like this retired bounty hunter who gets like a summons from like deep from the reaches of space from the Space Queen.
How long are these songs?
Like 6
minutes. Yeah, okay, makes sense.
It's like listening to Bohemian Rhapsody, though. You don't complain that it's like a long song, because it's like it's not like a chord loop. They're very like episodic, structured songs. So you move from one like section to another. Just like other goated songs in that genre, like Jesus of Suburbia by Green Day, or as I mentioned, Bohemian Rhapsody. But yeah, he gets like the summons, and there's like an assassin on the run, and he has to like he has to get like pulled out of retirement, so he doesn't know if he can do it or not, but he has to, and it's like it goes so hard. But yeah, that's probably way too much time we already dedicated to one, so we should get the show rolling.
It's okay, I got you.
On
Law of
Airwave.
equivalent, well, not even law of equivalent exchange, more so law of what's that law in geometry? Something about proportions with triangles.
Oh yeah, yeah, I don't even remember, dude. It's
Yeah,
been
that
so long since I took
proportional, that
geometry.
law of proportions with triangles or whatever. Yeah. You had your little long segment, and I'll keep it quick. Not even that I'll keep it quick. It's just, so the one of the bands I said I wanted to talk about was Interwave, and I am not as thorough a fan of Interwave as you are of Twerp, and so I think I will sit here and confess that like I haven't listened to every single song they have, and nor do I, which I like. I was actually talking about this before we started recording. In recent times, I haven't really been listening to them recently, so I gotta kind of get back on that. But I've listened to a few of their songs, and I just thought it was a band that not a lot of people, or I would say not a lot of people know about. They have like 1 million monthly listeners on Spotify. That I think is a pretty heat. It's funny. I was actually talking to Joanne on Chipotle night.
Hey, it's me, Goku.
Which yeah, we'll save that for another. We'll save that for a fitness related episode.
Yeah. ... Yeah, true.
But we were talking about music, and I think like I forget exactly how this went down, but I'm pretty sure I was looking through. Oh, because Joanne and I started speaking about her evolution of like just music, because like I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, she's been going through a lot of phases.
First year was like classic. If the music had lyrics, she did not want it, and me.
That started changing right before first year. Because when I was talking to Joanne before the summer, I hit her with the, hey, have you listened to Twerp?
Yeah.
And then like, I think like she was big into classical and jazz, and then like slowly like over the course of the last 2 years, that's like shifted.
Oh yeah, we've converted her. Cult type beat, you know how it goes. Anyways, so she was showing me one of her playlists, and there was this song by Interwave in there. I'm like, ain't no way you would be listening to Interwave like that. That's crazy. And she said somebody else had put her on, and so I gave her a few more songs to listen to, or like 2 more songs to listen to. But yeah, a bit of context, and I am quickly perusing the internet for a brief bio. But essentially, where did this go? They are an LA-based indie rock boy band, which doesn't exactly help my case of trying to shake off
the indie soft boy allegations.
Shake off the indie soft boy allegations. But there's another quote: "Was making the kind of music that's that soundtracks the tender, reflective moments in a coming of age story." And I think that's very true. I think I can talk a bit more about my favorite song sort of towards the end. But yeah, so that's sort of I guess the gist, right? I would say, and there's like 5 members of the band, and I don't feel like going through this order. And it's not that I don't feel like, but I will, if I remember. I will do my best if I remember to link, these in the inside the Pocket tab. But essentially, what I would say is, I think that their music is, in my opinion, it takes a unique stance within the sort of indie rock
The Peach Pits of the world and the.
I mean, well, Peach Pit's fire, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, Peach Pit's heat.
I just think that, you were saying earlier about Twerp how a lot of times you hear the same, or how they won't like play like the same 4 chords throughout the entire song. I would say that I think Inner Wave still has like sections of their song where like you will hear same chords repeat, but like they do switch it up at points, and also they are also kind of very like pop synth kind of. There are elements of that like within their songs, and a very unique take on vocals that I think keeps things kind of refreshing and like different from like all the other sort of indie rock songs that you hear where you're like, okay, this like is good, but it also kind of sounds like this other song that I heard. So you were talking about albums. The 2 that I've listened to the most are Sun Transmission and Underwater Pipe Dreams. Some favorites of mine are from, like, at least from Underwater Pipe Dreams, Eclipse. There's a Nice One, Song 3, and Conversations. Those are like 4 songs that sort of have been like in my playlist. I kind of made this playlist, like, I want to say at the end of 2020, which is when I was kind of, due to quarantine, really in my like guitar era, for lack of a better word, lack of better words. Simply because I'm not gonna lie, that was one thing I did love about virtual school, is I used to be able to play my guitar like under the camera. So like I would like hold it like like on the like armrest of my chair and like be playing guitar like in class, and like they couldn't tell because it was like my camera didn't pick it up. So I was in my guitar era where I was really playing guitar. And so I was listening to a lot of songs, and I made a playlist that's basically like songs with like fire guitar that I really enjoy, and some other ones from like Sun Transmission, Diamond Eyes, and 142, which is my favorite song of theirs. And so one of the things that this article mentioned with the sort of the coming of age moments that their songs encapsulate. The whole point of 142 is actually really sad, but also something that I think can be a common experience when one lives life. And I don't know if you're aware of the phrase like 143.
Yeah. What is it like? Is that the thing that has to do? Yeah, one letter, 4 letters. Yeah. Is I love you. Yeah.
So the whole point of 142 is literally I love, but instead of 2, it's literally the number 2. So it's like the whole song is basically about this guy, and he's in love with 2 people, and it's a very I don't know, I think it's very don't look at me like that.
I didn't say anything.
nah, because like you looked at me and like you said it all with your guys. I don't know what he's talking about. I live a very
I don't either, bro.
abstinent life.
Yeah, man. Virginity. Oh, okay, I wouldn't.
I'm actually.
We're keeping it so out of pocket.
My mother does it. It's all right. Hope she not really. We might have to like we might have to we're gonna put a disclaimer and mother, skip ahead 3 minutes, and you're gonna cut that, edit it, put it like right before. Yeah, cool. All right, thanks, man. Anyways, so yeah, I really like 142. I think 142 has one of the although it's a simple, I would argue it's a simple bass line. Like I could learn it. I did learn it, and I'm not even like I'm not good at bass. Like I don't play bass. I just learned on guitar. But like there's a bass line in that song that goes so hard. Like I really enjoy it. There's like the song has like I would say like a lot of variations. There's a lot of cool like uses of guitar techniques that you kind of like can catch in the background. And like when you like really pay attention to the song, and you know, stuff like that. You know, they have a lot of like really good ascending melodies with like synth and you know, scales on guitar and so yada yada. I'd say give them a listen. I really enjoy them. I think, to be honest, I mean, all right, you're gonna crucify me. I haven't listened to, I mean, I've only listened to one Twerp song, and it was some single that dropped in like fall of our freshman year.
Bright Blue Sky.
I don't really like it that much. Yo, but maybe I'll give them another chance. But I think, you know, I feel like from the conversation we've had, Innerwave and Twerp kind of inhabit a similar realm of being. So that's my just.
And just as like a quick like disclaimer, so people don't think we're music snobs. Like, just because a song has a 4-chord loop doesn't make it a bad song at all.
Nope,
that's not what we're saying.
So not true. Fight or Flight by Conan Gray. Heat. Less Than Zero. Heat by The Weeknd. Like even 505 by Arctic Monkeys is like 2 chords. It's 2 chords back and forth.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of good songs. Like, you know, a song doesn't have to be like, you know, episodic and like, you know, it could just be a good song, you know, and music is a very subjective thing to where, like, you know, it's whatever the listener wants to make of it.
But I caught somebody in 4K the other day saying that music with stories is just better music. Somebody said music with stories is just better. Or just better. Songs with stories.
No. I mean, songs with stories smack. So do other songs. So yeah. Anyways, that sort of brings us to the last 2 artists we wanted to cover. A personal favorite of mine, A.R. Rahman, and a personal favorite of yours, Juan Luis Guerra.
Yeah.
So, A.R. Rahman, quick sort of drop. Practically every Indian person probably alive has listened to some A.R. Rahman like music, and the reason for that is kind of like twofold. He's just like one of the biggest composers and songwriters and most respected in India, and more than that, at least a lot of the mainstream like music culture in India is songs that come from movies, because practically every movie, you know, has a song or like has songs in it to be like the soundtrack. And so A.R. Rahman has been composing for a very long time. He got his start in some movies in like the mid to late 90s. And he got his start in Tamil movies, which is like, you know, why there's like also a special sort of place for A.R. and like in sort of like my life, because, you know, he's a lot like not just his, you know, big Bollywood songs, but also a lot of his Tamil music is just like very iconic for Tamil people, you know, and his style. Like, one thing I really appreciate about A.R. Rahman's music is he knows how to thread the line between like a song that could be popular and like be a banger and, you know, be very accessible, and also he knows how to put like a lot of complexity into his songs and soundtracks. And above all, he always tries to, like, at least like for a lot of the music of his that I grew up with, he always tries to do something new. Like, he always tries to like stay on the edge rather than sort of like falling into a certain like flow. Like, for example, I want to say he did the soundtrack for Roja, but I could be capping. Let's look it up real quick. But Roja is a Tamil movie. Yeah, it was AR. From 92. Wow, that's earlier than I expected. But like, you know, it's this very popular like Tamil movie from the 90s where you know, this guy, I don't know, the plot's like not super relevant, but like this guy, like, he gets married to a girl and they move to like Delhi, and then he gets kidnapped by like,
Bro.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. He like works for the government or something. I don't even remember. And he gets kidnapped by like this terror organization, like these like Kashmiri or like
Bro.
I don't know. And like the thing about it is like you would expect any movie of like any Indian movie involving like Pakistani or Kashmiri terrorists to just present them as like villains, and like to some extent that is true, but they do a really good job humanizing the other side, I'd say, in this movie, even though like it's not like whatever. What I'm trying to say is the soundtrack to this movie, it's very like orchestral, like lots of string sections, lots of whatever, but then like you fast forward to like the late 90s, early 2000s, and he's like experimenting a lot with like hip hop and like rap. And granted, it's not all like
that's freestyle.
They're not all like winners, but a personal favorite of mine in terms of like that era of AR soundtracks would be there's this Hindi movie called Rang De Basanti that he does the soundtrack for. Another great movie. But yeah, there's like a lot of like early like that very strong early 2000s like hip hop like vibe like to a couple of the songs, but then the title song Rang De Basanti is like straight like Punjabi like dunga 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 like that type of song. And the best song on that entire soundtrack, like no one can debate me on this, is the song called Luka Chupi, which is like just like emotionally so nuts because it occurs at like this really really sad part of the movie.
Damn.
And it's all about like a mom like like Luka Chupi like roughly is like hide and seek, and she's like Lata Mangeshkar, who's like one of the she's called the Nightingale of India because she's basically the Celia Cruz of like India, but she's on the song and she's like the mom and she's like, my son, where have you gone? And like it's crazy. Damn, bro. And it's just like it's like just this beautiful ballad, like strings, guitar, Indian percussion, and it all ties together. And like
my man got shot, he's crying in the club.
That's what I was saying, man. That's the other thing about AR. He blends East and West so well. They like it weirdly works together every time. But if I had to rank like favorite AR soundtracks of like all time, the Cuddle soundtrack. Cuddle is like this Tamil movie that came out, I want to say in like 2012 or 2014. The soundtrack smacks. Mm-hmm. And I've never even seen the movie, so I don't know how it relates to the movie, but the songs go crazy. He has this one song that's just like straight jazz, and then the song at the end is like this huge orchestral choral thing, and like banging the entire time. There's the O Kadal Kanmani soundtrack, which is another Tamil movie that got turned into a Bollywood movie later on, called OK Banu. And OK Banu also has a very popular song on it. But anyway, like the OK Kanmani soundtrack has like, it's so like very electronic. Oh yeah, like I'm completely glossing over the fact that he's the guy who did the soundtrack for Slumdog Millionaire, and he got the Oscar for that. What else? Rang De Basanti I mentioned.
I was gonna say, when you were talking about that movie where the man got kidnapped by the ops, I was like, that sounds a lot like Slumdog Millionaire. They're like,
yeah,
just kidnap my boy, bro.
But yeah, no, like that's that's like kind of, and he's also just like widely respected in like the global music community. So yeah, big A.R. Rahman enjoyer. Yeah, that's all I can say about him for now, I think. So give us the drop.
All right, my Cuban brethren, forgive me for I have sinned. I mean, not okay. I think we can all get along here. Like, all right, this is an extremely hot take. Cubans, forgive me. Mother, forgive me. I could have covered Celia Cruz, who you mentioned earlier. She's Cuban like I. But I'm not gonna lie, I think I like Juan Luis more. And I know that's a very hot take, but
Gasp.
I know, but I will talk about why. So just a little background. Juan Luis, he was born June 7th, 1957. Man's up there in age.
Is he still alive?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's Dominican. So yeah, he's Dominican. Shout out to, my Dominican homies, my Dominican friends around campus, especially the ones in the dining hall who be hooking me up with the hella food, just straight up. But he is like just one of the most iconic Latin artists, and man just produces heat consistently. He never misses. Like, man's American Sniper, the way he would just be shooting.
Oh, man.
Nah, bro, he just doesn't miss. He's cracked. And so he mostly makes merengue. His merengue songs are my favorite. He makes bachata too. Hot take. Bachata's alright. It's alright.
I have no skin in this game, dude.
But yeah, and then most of his tracks are produced, or like it's him, Juan Luis, and then on all the albums it says it would be Y440, which is and 440, which is supposed to be the hertz of an A note.
So no, that's facts.
So, yeah.
Wait, run that back. Why does he do the 440 hertz?
Like this is the name of like the band. Like it's him and
gotcha.
440. So they just be making heat. And so, all right, why he's my favorite. He might be my favorite Latin artist, to be honest. Period. Okay.
Dang.
Which is a hot take. I know. But like, not only the reason man doesn't miss is because not only are his songs heat, like musically, sort of like just in terms of like just pure instrumental. Man is I don't know what he be cooking with. Let him cook. He's just in the studio going crazy. Lyrically, I don't think anybody's ever blown my mind more. With the like words he puts on paper, like I don't know how he does it. Again, he does not miss. And so, although some of his songs, like some of the analogies that he makes in his songs are just like, I could only dream of like making like having such mastery over Spanish to be able to make those comparisons. It's crazy. And so, I will say that although those of you who are listening may not be able to understand what he's saying, I think that you can still find his music enjoyable. So he's the one who made El Farolito, which you've heard. And that song is straight up about, like, it's about a lantern, which he compares to the moon's belly button. El beso la sigo a tierra, which is a song all about like kissing a girl you love and having it like just make you weak in the knees, like just
heat.
One of my favorite lyrics from that song, like one of my favorite lyrics ever, which, fun fact for those of us who have made it this far in the episode, I'm saving that for an Instagram caption one day because it's just heat, but it's essentially in Spanish. To translate from Spanish to English, man straight up says him and his girl are gonna go psychoanalyze the stars. I'm like, what? Who? What are you right? Like, I don't. Yeah, I don't know how he comes up with stuff like that. And there's a context to it because he talks about his girl's a psychologist and all this stuff, but there's
bro's dating a psych major.
Yeah he straight up admits it. There's also, oh snap, I have to listen to this song. Apparently he has a song called Lacrimosa.
Not the Lacrimosa.
This might be my favorite song of his ever, period. Maybe that's hard. Oficio de Enamorado, which is all about like the like just being so in love with a person that like it completely like taints your, or like kind of puts a tint over your outlook on the world. And yeah, and you know, all of these songs are accompanied with really like kind of, well, yes, all the songs that I've mentioned up until now are accompanied with very like fast pace. It's merengue, so it's like 1 2 1 2 1 2. It's like very kind of quick Latin music, Latin dance. I will yeah, there's some other songs that I want to talk about. Sorry, just doing a quick time check, even though I will say we kind of have liberties now. Like we could go 10 minutes over even if we wanted to. But
I still like the hour format.
no, I know, but like, who's gonna stop us? Who will stop me? Rosalia is another one. He also makes a lot of medical comparisons for some reason.
He's pre-med, dude.
Apparently, he has a song called Billy Rubina, which is like Billy Rubin, which has something to do with your kidneys or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so they got the whole song. He's like making reference to diabetes and all that stuff. I'm like, bro.
It gets broken down in the liver, and then it's the byproduct of what gets broken down in the liver.
And then there's this other song. Where is it? En Niagara en Bicicleta, which is, to be honest, I feel like one of his more random songs. The reason I like it so much is because, similar to us on this podcast, where we just like, throw back to episode 19, where we just started trying to like make callbacks to like all the other episodes we recorded. He just starts like referencing all his like old songs, and it's just heat. And then there's one I found over break called Las Avispas, which translates to the wasps, and it is it's like boils down to it's a religious song about how he knows God has got him, and that he like basically God told them like, don't, like, I know your ops are preying on your downfall, but it's all good, like just keep doing you, because I'm gonna send a like horde of wasps to just pull up on your ops.
He's wildin', bro. He's wildin'.
I was like, ain't no way. And the entire song is basically him boasting about how he can't be touched because he has faith in God, and like if you mess with him, you're gonna get jumped by a horde of wasps. So,
I respect it.
So his songs, and like it's all over like a really kind of fast paced, like very enjoyable track. And if you guys if you love to dance, then like his music is definitely music to dance to. And so, you know, for me, I think that I listen to a lot of his songs in a period of my life, well, like, you know, being here at Brown, where I try to you know, live life a bit more like human. I say that because I think high school is very like, you know, looking towards the future. I think essentially I feel like I live much more in the present in college than I did in high school. And I think just by nature of being an adult, by being older, you start to encounter some of the, you know, I think it is a matter of fact that as you get older, you are able to relate to themes of life more. You expand upon your collection of lessons, of morals, of
experiences.
Yeah. And so I think, you know, I have started to listen to his music in a time where I can really appreciate the things that he conveys through song. And so I'm not gonna lie, he got me crying in the club. Like, I mean, not really, but like almost. Like I'm like damn, this is speaking to my soul. And so I think that's why he has to be my personal favorite Latin artist, which is a hot take, especially since as a Cuban, Celia is like, she's it. And don't get me wrong, she's a gem of our country, but like,
true.
Just Juan Luis is like, for me, just at least right now where I am, like just a little bit. And so like, nah, I'm sorry, grandmother. I'm sorry, mother. Like, you know. But yeah, that's my spiel. You should, if you aren't aware or haven't listen to his stuff, go check it out. I think that even those who are not of a Latin background will be able to appreciate his music, especially if you're somebody who's into music and music composition and you know, somebody who really looks for enjoyable instrumentals or
Yeah. Well, that puts us over our time, so yeah, let's call it. Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to 101.1 FM, WOPP-IP, WDRV-IP, WALE-IP Providence.
You guys can still find us at www.theoutapocketpodcast.com. Outta is spelled Outta. Through our website, you can find us on Instagram, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I haven't quite added the link yet, but I will do that as soon as I can. YouTube. And again, if you want to find us on YouTube before said website is updated, it is www.youtube.com// at the @ symbol, like you find in emails, the Outta Pocket Podcast, spelled exactly like it is everywhere else.
Sounds good. And speaking of emails, if you want to send us any, you could hit us up via the contact page on our website. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in to the Outta Pocket Podcast. We'll see you next week. And I feel like we've already been so out of pocket on this episode that maybe I don't even need to give out of pocket advice, but you know, we back.
I know.
We back and we in this. So
I'll take over for you. Spontaneous out of pocket advice. When you're in the library at your university and you see the self-checkout scanner to check out books, forget that thing. Just take the books and run.
Bruh.
Just hit the dip. Catch you guys later and take care.